Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm your ever-loving host, Shorty, and as you can see from the various layers and scarves and things I'm wearing, it's very cold where I am right now. I've had a little bit of runny nose, so I apologise if I'm a little bit sniffly during this one. I'll do my best to get through it without distraction as we talk about Joy Operations. That title actually reminded me of something I meant to mention during last week's review, which is the comic books should be joyful. They should be fun at some point. Don't get me wrong. I quite like a nice dark horror story. I quite like introspection. I like slow burn kind of stuff. But if you want to get something new into comic books, giving them something where not much happens, but what happens looks great and feels fantastic might not be the best intro to comic books. It's a vibrant art form, and it can do a lot of things, and it can tell great stories. Hulk yesterday did that, and I should have mentioned it. Joy Operations go somewhere towards that as well, but it's not perfect. In fact, very early on, I found myself getting frustrated with it. You get a first look at the character, and it's not particularly well drawn, which is a shame. Sorry, I've got page bookmarks here. You basically get a look at them, and it starts out very, very cool. A little bit of digital effects there, but that's not the end of the world when you're dealing with the digital landscape. I actually had no problem with it. But then that face just doesn't look great. When you compare it to how she's drawn for the rest of it, it feels like it was a bit of a wasted opportunity. And the representation the character has is brilliant as well. This is a femme character or femme presenting character, and they are not an 18-year-old lithe athlete. She looks to be in her mid to late 40s, a rough guess, but is still a kick-ass combat character. Basically due to an awful lot of cyberpunk techno babble stuff that's going on under the skin. She's also in kicks ass, and that's great. But that first look at her wasn't brilliant. And then you flick just over the page, and you get this cityscape shot. Very cool. This kind of stuff I really like. And it unfortunately took me a matter of seconds to realize what I didn't like about it. That is a one-point perspective bit of artwork. It is disappearing off into the distance. You can probably clearly see where it is. All of the perspective is fake. There is a little bit where the buildings don't quite match up because I think that's just streets done at a slightly different angle. But I literally got a 12-inch steel ruler in my shop, and I checked, and it is just flat lines. There is no other point of perspective vanishing, which means it, from the POV you're looking at and the POV of the character, it imagines that same vanishing point and doesn't take anything else into account of the world. And it's not great, unfortunately. This disappointment actually lasted until halfway through the comic book because I wanted to find out more about this character, about Joy, about the world she lived in. And there is some quite nice world building going on there, but you don't get any sense of character. She is effectively just talking to herself through a series of sci-fi adventures. And they're not really like huge sci-fi adventures, mostly just a fight scene and exploration and a little bit of background. But it's all internalized. You don't get any sense of who she is or who the world thinks she is because you only get her POV. Not a hugely breaking thing for a comic book for me. I can get past that and I could enjoy it. And I was about to start thinking, well, hopefully it'll change. And then it changed. They introduced some of the characters who actually had dialogue, interactions with the character, the Joy character. And that's great because Bendis is great at dialogue. Go and read his Jessica Jones for stuff like that. It's absolutely brilliant. But then you get the twist, the reveal, the change to everything that you thought was going on. And it's not a huge one. It's not the kind of thing where it's like, oh my God, I must go back and start reading this immediately to actually get what sense of what's actually going on. Oh my God, I can't believe the wool was pulled over my eyes so effectively. But it is a twist, and it does change how the rest of the comic reads. All of a sudden, you're finding out an awful lot more about these characters, what this world is, and how things work, how the characters interact with each other within the world. This one little change suddenly had me reminding myself why I really like Brian Michael Bendis, because he has done some great stuff. He has created some great characters, and he's told some great stories. He is responsible for the very, very cool twist of what happened with Superman in his run on Action Comics and Superman, where he effectively outed Clark Kent, which was very, very cool. I like that he's willing to do that kind of thing. Is it enough to get over the initial disappointment? It actually is. Not enough to elevate it above a kind of highly competent, very well done comic book. It's not absolutely fantastic. I'm not raving about it. I'm not saying this is one of those recommend it to all your friends kind of thing. It's a fun little sci-fi story. And it does do something which I like sci-fi and all genre fiction to do, which is tell slightly different kind of stories in the world. This one appears to be a story which is not particularly unpopular right now of corporate overreach. It's effectively somebody, a CEO of a corporation, trying to do something which is actually dangerous to everyone else, and there are people getting together to stop it. What's quite nice about it is because of the twist that's happening story, there's reasons why that doesn't instantly work the way you expect it to. This is all part of the development of the story and of the world, and it's stuff like that which make me think it's worth going back to it. I probably will not pick this up monthly as it's coming out. I think once it's done, I'll get a collection, I'll see how the story unfolded. But the little twist, the bit that grabbed you, was supposed to grab you and be like, yes, this is worth paying attention to. This is actually a really cool idea, and you should come back and read it. It didn't quite undo everything that I'd read before. Enough to interest me, not enough to grab me, I'm afraid. But such is life. Anyway, that's it for me. I'm going to be back tomorrow. Until then, look after each other, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.